Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today I want to give you my full guide for World Boss Ultimate Corvus Glaive, and we'll have one up for Black Dwarf soon enough. I just need to collect 10 Titan records for the speed with Corvus so I can tier 3 Spider-Man. Keep in mind, to get past stage 10, you need to complete challenges on stage 9 that include Hyperion being on the team. Now, I know that's frustrated a lot of people who don't have Hyperion as a paywall character. I have two suggestions for you in that case. Wait for his rework, and if it's amazing, get the BIO subscription and get his character. And if you don't want to wait, just complete all of the other challenges and then pay the small crystal fee to skip that part, which should be about 300 or 400 crystals. Now, as far as the Corvus boss, I've gotten up to stage 19, so that's when I'm going to be basing the difficulty of this challenge on. I haven't noticed too much of an increase in the difficulty in terms of what you need to bring, but I think Corvus is different from Proxima in the sense that he's so much more restrictive, and the list of available damage-dealing characters is actually much lower. Like Proxima, Corvus requires physical damage-dealing characters. Even if your main stat is energy like Apocalypse, the main damage abilities like Apocalypse's fourth skill, the Fists, needs to deal physical damage because he has an energy defense buff. Additionally, he has a restriction where he gets 50% less damage, or he reduces the damage by 50% against blast types, against universal types, and against combat types. So if you don't use a speed type, it's going to be a lot harder. It's definitely possible, but it's definitely a lot harder, so just keep that in mind. I don't want to go too heavy into the list. I'll throw it up now for the main DPS, the leaderships, the strikers, and the support characters. I just want to talk about the new additions. So I took away Thanos because there's not many good villains for this stage besides Apocalypse, and Apocalypse can use his own leadership. There's only one or two good speed villains. They're Kraven and Vulture, and they're just not that great for this stage to begin with. The notable changes or notable additions are all of the ignore dodge leaderships. So 2099, Cable, Proxima, Bullseye, and Robbie Reyes are all potential leaderships. However, you are sacrificing the damage that you could trade off for the strikers being ignore dodge strikers, but just keep that in mind. For the main DPS, it's all the same ones from Proxima, but just all the speed types, including the exceptions of Wolverine and Apocalypse. Possibly Black Panther can do this. I haven't tested him out just yet, but he was another awesome one from the Proxima day. Additionally, I've added Kate Bishop, Rogue, Angel, Spider-Man, Spider-Man 29, Shuri, and Black Widow. I was very impressed with Black Widow, actually. The only one that I'm a little bit iffy about is Kate Bishop, but it's because mine has an invincibility obelisk and not a damage proc. So if you have a really powerful Kate Bishop, let me know how she does against Corvus. I think she'll do very well. She's very well suited for it with the speed type, with the physical, with the ignore dodge natively. As far as for the supports, the only ones that I added were thanks to some of my very eagle-eyed fans. Ronan with his uniform gives a 20% ignore dodge buff to the team, so you can use him as a support. Wiccan's tier 2 gives 20% to the team in ignore dodge, so you can also use him as a support. And Ancient One, tier 2 I believe, gives 25% ignore dodge, so you can use them all as either leaderships or as just support buffs for ignore dodge. As far as the strikers, we're going to just build up a quick team here to go at the boss from the kind of mechanics point of view. This is not going to be a speed clear team. As far as the strikers, they're all pretty much the same as the ones for Proxima, except I've included the ignore dodge strikers. So Kate Bishop, Agent Venom, Mockingbird, Misty Knight, those kinds of characters get an additional buff here because they allow you and they give you that additional ignore dodge. Just keep in mind, I didn't see, and of course, Anti-Venom, I didn't see a huge difference or a huge gap between using 60% or 40% ignore dodge and 100%. There may be a bigger gap once you get up to stage 25 or 30, and you might need to have 100% ignore dodge no matter what, but at least in these situations, I don't see a huge difference in the amount of time it takes me to clear the stage. Some ignore dodge is definitely necessary. I don't think 100% is in this case the way that it was with the old Corvus. So this fight right here, this clear is just going to be for mechanics. I'm going to do a clear right after where I just try my hardest and fastest. But for this one, we're just going to talk about what to expect in the fight. So there's essentially 2.5 phases. There's this phase, which consists of 2 parts. Once you get Corvus down to 5 bars, he will do a very frustrating move. For that part, you want to start the mission right where Beast is, right around that bottom grate. So just keep that in mind roughly to where you're positioned. At least that's where I like to be. And then there's going to be the second phase. So I'm going to pass the buff, switch over to Wolverine. Corvus has buffs right now. He's got energy defense, which is why you use physical, and he's got that 50% damage reduction. So Wolverine's only going to be doing half of his damage, but lo and behold, at stage 19, my Wolverine, even with an invincibility obelisk, is still good enough. And he's going to be good enough despite the fact that I'm not even using his 4th skill, which gives him ignore dodge. So now we start the kind of radiation of vast amounts of energy. This is the most frustrating part of the Corvus fight. I'm trying to get down to the bottom of the grate. He's going to release spears, and then he's going to release 3 waves of fireballs. You're going to want to dodge the fireballs or just stand out of their way. It's a predetermined flight path for the fireballs. And then when you see the last wave, there's 3 waves of fireballs. When you see the last wave, start running in an upwards diagonal direction towards that fireball. You'll dodge it, but you'll also dodge those purple circles as they're falling spears, because those will pin you to the ground. They'll pierce you, penetrate you, and probably kill you. So we're going to check it out now, and I'm going to run in a big circle around the arena, and I'll explain why as I'm running. So we wait for the fireballs. 1, 2, see the third one start running, and we're just going to run around, and we don't want to run towards Corvus because they spawn under you. So if you run towards Corvus and you do a skill, you'll land out of the skill, and the spears will be below you, and then you'll die. So that's why we run kind of around Corvus, but we don't go at him until the very end. And if you do the same thing against the Captain America legendary battle, you'll get a lot of practice from that in the kind of second half, third half of the fight when Proxima switches back to Corvus. But we're just going to get him down. The rest of this fight is the rest of this phase is very straightforward. There's not much to it. He doesn't do any difficult attacks. He barely summons his clones. Not very many of them. Not very high health. Once you get past that 5-bar kind of challenge, it's much easier. At least for this phase. But we're about to enter into the second phase where it gets a little bit trickier. From this phase, he's going to iframe almost right after the cutscene. So if you have a damage proc, if you have a tier 3 skill, don't use it, because whatever you do here, he's going to iframe. He's also going to send out a bunch of these lines, and if you noticed, the ground lit up and they were all purple, which means they all penetrate and they all do tremendous damage. So you basically have to dodge all of them, and that's where I think that this stage is much less difficult in terms of the amount of damage you have to do. You don't need very high DPS characters, you don't need CTPs of energy and all this crazy stuff, but you do need extreme dodging ability, because even more so than Proxima, this stage will punish you for being in the wrong place at the wrong time, and any character is liable to die. Right after he does the iframe, he does another iframe, and he does this kind of classic 3-pillar move. The best way to dodge this move is to kind of move out of the way and then iframe. When you iframe, it'll break his it'll basically break his animation. He might do one more pillar towards your direction. If he does that, he can one-shot you sometimes. He's one-shot my Captain America, and it was really frustrating, but he usually shouldn't. He usually just stops if you move out of the way. If you iframe into him directly without moving first, you might die, so I wouldn't suggest that. From here, he doesn't do too many things that are very special. He just cycles through some of his regular moves until you get him down to, I believe it's 10 bars. Once you get down to 10 bars, things go into the next kind of difficult part of the phase, but you can dodge this part of the phase if you do enough damage. He does this move from time to time, which is an extended version of his 3rd skill. If you're finding that you're dying on this phase, just switch, because it's frustrating and you actually can't ignore him or break out of it, or at least I haven't figured out a way to break out of it. In the second phase, you can see he does a bit more. He has a bit more dodge, so this is where I want to start using Wolverine's 4th skill to get an additional 40% ignore dodge. I only have a total of 60% now, but that seems to be enough for me, as long as I can keep it up in between kind of rotations. This is gonna hurt. Okay, at 10 bars, he runs up to the top, and now instead of the bottom grate, you're gonna want to look at the left grate. The left grate is where you're gonna position yourself, and there's the left grate, and then just a little bit to the right of that, there's like a piece of wood on the floor that looks like a square or rectangle. Those are gonna be your 2 points of reference. So for the first wave, I believe you are in the middle, in between the grate and in between the kind of piece of wood or brick, and it's right over here. You're gonna stand here. The second wave, you're gonna move to the, I believe it's to the inside. You're gonna move to the inside of the brick. I can never remember. Yeah, inside the brick. For the next one, you're gonna run to the outside of the grate. And then for the last one, you're gonna start running kind of in where the brick is. And there you go. And that's how you dodge. I got hit, but that's how you dodge the 4 flaming pillars. Right after that, he does, again, his flaming kind of 3-laned attack. So you're going to want to get away from him, not in front of him. And you're going to want to iframe. I was too slow there. There's always a pickup when you unpause. And then he just goes through some other attacks. He has a straightforward beam attack. That's exactly like Proxima's. It does you know, a penetration move. And it goes in a straight line. For those, you just need to get out of the way. Iframing will not save you from that, and the damage is not that bad. He does much less damage than Proxima. And the only time where you're going to get one-shotted by Corvus is if you allow multiple things to hit you at the same time. So one of those purple pillars, if it hits you, is not going to kill you, most likely. If you allow 2 or 3 that are overlapping like that to hit you at the same time, that could definitely kill you. So it's just about positioning against Corvus, and it's about being patient. I don't think you'll run out of time if you're just patient and you bring enough damage. The other thing that oh, that's a lot of damage. The other thing that he does towards the end of the fight, when there's just a few bars left, is that he'll upgrade his 3-pillar attack into a 5 or 6-pillar attack. I didn't stop to count it. You guys know how I love numbers. So that does make things a little bit more dangerous, but it's essentially the same kind of move. You just need to get out of the way and then do an iframe. If you can't get out of the way, switch and sacrifice someone else. So that is the first clear. That's the easier clear. Wolverine, of course, we all know and well how good he is. But now I want to use a speed character, and this time I'm actually going to use Black Widow, because my Black Widow is not that well built. I did just roll an obelisk, a damage proc obelisk for her, but I was actually really impressed with how quickly she was able to do this. I'm going to pair her with Shuri for the bonus, and we're going to give her just a decent... Actually, you know, can we do Gorgons? Do we have Gorgons leadership? We might not have. We do have Gorgons leadership. Okay, we're going to go with this team. Shuri is a great support because she also doubles as a backup. We're actually going to need 2 here. She actually doubles as a backup. Okay, let's do this. She doubles as a backup DPS because she's a speed type. So if you lose Black Widow in this situation, you can always use Shuri. But this is a much more difficult clear, but it's a much more satisfying one because my Black Widow is not very built up, and she can definitely do it. Being level 70 helps. I don't have her gears past 20, so don't think too much about that, but this one is very fun, and she has the advantage over other characters, at least some other characters like Wolverine, in that she has a lot of dodge. Corvus doesn't seem to have any ignore dodge, so you can get away with, or you get punished less when you use her versus other characters because she dodges. I'm gonna start running here, around, and 8, is that 8? It's a total of 8. He also iframes after that move, so again, if you're saving up a tier 3 skill, usually by this point in the fight, about 20-25 seconds in, I've built up my tier 3 skill with Captain America. I still have kind of sadness over the struggles. This was actually an easier clear for me with Wolverine and Black Widow, and even X-23 compared to Captain America. I actually had a lot of trouble clearing with Captain America. The other really good thing about Black Widow is, man, Anti-Venom's heals are the best thing ever. The other thing about Black Widow that makes this clear very nice is she has a very good balance of AoEs. Come on, he's not dead? She has a very good balance of AoEs and single target skills. So anytime Corvus summons his clones, she just wipes them out in one shot with that 5th skill. I'm gonna need to focus now here. This phase is a little bit trickier. Oh, and I might die here. Okay, I didn't die, but that was a very risky move. Not sure why I did that. Iframe. He only does 1 pillar when I do that. Still not very cool, bro. But whatever. Not gonna get me. Let's run down here. Okay, go over here. Yup. This is way easier to remember when I'm not talking. so much easier. The other thing, just really quickly, the other thing that's super good about Black Widow against Corvus specifically, and I almost feel like they made her, they built this stage with Black Widow in mind. Her third skill does a kind of a 90-degree kind of hook, and it's perfect for dodging Corvus's frontal assault. So look at this. Oh, hey, bro, what's up? Oh, totally dodged. Did you guys see that? Just, it's almost picture perfect. It's almost spooky how well she just... Oh, I'm gonna get hit. Nope. It's almost spooky how well that skill dodges his kind of best attack. So I was really happy to find that out when I was testing her out. And I basically just tested her out because she's a speed character. I was like, hey, she's a speed character. He doesn't take less damage from speed types. And, oh, I might die here. Nope. Oh, so good. Yeah. Black Widow World Boss Ultimate. Who would have thought? Just cleaning up. Even more so than her buddy Cap. Yeah, this is definitely easier than Cap. Don't have to worry about the tier 3 skill. Don't have to worry about the timing. The only thing you don't want to do is what I did there. I've done it twice now. I did it with Wolverine as well, is hitting Corvus while he's doing that frontal attack, because it will paralyze you. That was even easier than Wolverine. And I could do it a lot faster if I gave her a bit better setup, but so impressive. So hopefully these tips against Corvus World Boss Ultimate help you get further and get better rewards and just dominate more. Let me know what you think of the teams and Black Widow. Subscribe if you enjoy the content and you want to support me. Hit the bell if you don't want to miss any of my content. And of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.